There we go. Now I should have good sound. Excellent. I can see myself. Actually, you know what? It's not live. It's like there's a 10-second delay. This is going to drive me crazy. What's funny is, I'm very happy that I I got the event that was monitored and everything. Uh, there we go. People talking, Corey. What's funny is I'm looking on this screen and I had to go to a Google Hangout, but I can't see it on YouTube. So I got to go over here and I'm going to have to do that. So my apologies. I'm just rigging this as best I can. Yeah, this is unbelievable the difficulty I'm having. But hey, Kayla. Hey, Corey. So, uh, man, things are crazy in my life right now. I'm going through the craziest stuff I've ever gone through in my whole life. So, but I'm thankful for all you people that are coming on and talking and stuff. My website is down, and I'm working on getting that up. It just everything is my life is just a total mess right now. But to be honest, I really look forward to these chats. I've had so many awesome questions from the viewers and from you people, and I'm really excited to come on every week. So again, I apologize. I'm looking over here trying to because Google Hangouts where I'm on. Isn't that weird? I'm on Google Hangouts and I can't. Anyways, I'm looking for hello Shelly and thanks, guys. So you guys are all hearing me good. That's awesome. Thumbs up, right? I got Amanda around there somewhere. I heard Claudia Ackley was going to be around today. My very good friend who's doing the California lawsuit with me, which we are going to get on top of as soon as I get my life in orders. So I hear random here. Okay, we got questions. Good. I've seen structures firsthand, and I've seen my friend get zapped. Boy, you get zapped. You're saying zapped. Zapped is right. Um, Wednesday don't come fast enough. Thanks, Kayla. Uh, Getting zapped is simply infrasound. That stuff is legit. If you get zapped, if you get stunned, gorillas do that. I've been zapped by gorillas, and of course, I have been zapped by Sasquatch. Hey, from Georgia. Zapping this is science. I don't know why there's not more documentation that's public about infrasound. I assume the military knows all about it, right? Let's do some conspiracy stuffs. But yes, Terry, can you see me this time? I can see you. But yeah, infrasound's very legit. What happens is infrasound hits you in your middle ear and stuns you, and depending the level of infrasound, I mean, it can knock you right out. I was literally knocked out in the zoo um, by a gorilla, a small gorilla, knocked me right out. Like I fell over, and the primatologist woke me up and shook me, and made it very clear that that was the little gorilla and the big ones hit you harder. Hey, Kane, I'll pay to come out with you. Well, I tell you to go to the expeditions page of the website, but the website's down. Y'all, I'll tell you, I love you guys. I'm having so much fun on here. Northbigfoot@gmail.com. Send me an email, right? Let's go crazy. If you had an encounter, go to bigfootencounter@gmail.com. Um, and, if you have questions and stuff, I normally never do that. Hey, Kyla. Oh, Kyla, I'd like Kyla. Hey, Todd, what do you think the worldwide population of Sasquatch is? Well, Kyla, it's in my documentary. I talk about, oh my gosh, so many good questions. Uh, Tanya, Sasquatch behavior, visual witness, structure, building, tree snapping, etc., feeding. Okay, we'll do that second. In my documentary, I said 15,000, and I was just trying to keep that. I was trying to keep 15,000 for the math, because in the areas that in the Bigfoot North region where I would study Sasquatch, where I know for certain they exist, there's 15 million people, urban and rural. And I use 15,000 to say, as human beings in this Bigfoot North area, we take up 20% of the train, and there's 15 million of us. And I said there's 15,000 of them, and they take up 80% of the train. And I really like that number. I think that number is pretty legit. If anything, in the end, I think we're going to find it's conservative. But to really be honest, I mean, it's so hard. And I did a lot of research and I did a lot of studies. I studied gorillas and chimpanzees and their spacing and their ability to survive. And then I did some deductions based on the terrain and the habitat and how much harder it would be to survive here. Jerry's asking me, where's Jake? That's an excellent question. But I hope I'm not getting sidetracked here too much. But yeah, I just went with 15,000. Let's work with that number. A theory. What's great about a theory, and setting out a hypothesis is you put that number out there and you say, prove it or disprove it, right? So that was my basis to start, and I still am pretty confident with that number being just decent. But I just like the math of it, right? That's where I really it was. I estimated 13,000, bumped it up a few percent to get it to match 15 and make it good math. So I was asked over here, what structures? What do they make the structures for? I think the structures are made in response to a traumatic event. And someone asked me, has a Bigfoot grave ever been found? Well, maybe the Gigantopithecus caves in Langchun, China, was where a Bigfoot grave was found, but nothing since then. I've heard rumors and stories. I worked with a, a highway patrol officer and a wildlife officer out of Oregon who thought they knew where what caves were that people said there were Sasquatch bones in, but they could never get close to that cave because the Sasquatch got highly aggressive when they came around that area, to the point where these two gentlemen really even they don't want to do it anymore. So I tell you, when a Sasquatch comes and whoops your ass, you people talk, right? But when they come around and they kick your butt, they're powerful and amazing. And wow, 15,000 lava luckin. 15,000 individuals. Uh, so yeah, that was my guesstimation. Thank you for clarification of that. Yeah, 15,000, 15,000 individuals in the Bigfoot North region. I'm not going to go start making estimations for Texas. I'm not going to go make estimations for Florida. If they do survive there, which I think likely they do, it's going to be totally different. And I have no business putting my knowledge, the climate in Texas is so different. And even the southern United States is very different. So I just stick with what I know in the regions I know to. Tanya asks, what Sasquatch behaviors have you visually witnessed? Structures, building, tree snapping. I've witnessed, oh, it's excellent. What have I visually witnessed? I visually witnessed them building a structure in that screaming video. I'm going, get out of here, get out of here. They're building a structure. I've visually seen a Sasquatch walk up to me and snap a tree and look at me upset. And I have visually seen them feeding on one occasion. The whole incident that had transpired, where the log, the tree, I hit the log that had the tree branch that stabbed in my leg, and then I fell down. When the Sasquatch saved my life, which I talk about in another one of my live communications. That day all started with me being in an area and seeing a female Sasquatch feeding on berries in the area. And yeah, she was just feeding away. And when she became aware of me, boy, I remember the look to see her. She had a berry in her mouth and she just kept chewing. And she looked at me and was like, "Oh boy, you're in trouble now." And she made us call, "Whoa!" And the whole forest just came alive. That's why I called this group of Sasquatch the Radium Sasquatch, the Wild Bunch, because wow, they just don't. She was not afraid of me at all. Like, you think she would have been, oh, or something. She just looked over at me out chewing on the berries, and just was like, "Really? You came out here to my house?" So I admire and love and respect that. I think that was amazing. So back to the questions. You guys have such good questions. Yeah, that's really good. Really taxing on me to push me to answer some amazing stuff. I heard they partially pushed a tree over and bury their dead under it. Yeah, it's theory, right? So, Cappy McCappy, random hero. What's the difference between structures and tree breaks? Dramatically different. I believe the structures again are a response to a traumatic incident. Something horrible has happened. Even the structure in Nordegg that's on TV was a structure built in response to them building the road. Can you imagine a beautiful, serene mountain place where there's nothing, silence? When I take people to Nordegg and we sit down quietly, you can literally hear for miles. It's dead silent. It's beautiful. You can hear the wind coming off miles away, and it comes and it come loud, and then it blow past you, and then it blows away. How many people have ever experienced that? And we feel that all day. So if you have a big D9 screaming poisonous gases into the air, with a big blade destroying, wrecking terrain as they built that road to the Sasquatch, that was a very traumatic experience. And I believe they built a structure that communicates something about that traumatic experience. So much I'm learning about the structures. The brilliant men and women that I took out this year, I had a PhD come out and go, the Nordegg structure that's in my documentary and in the Nordegg episodes of Survivor Man, that's very impressive, probably one of the most impressive structures I've ever seen in real life. it was built clockwise. And the man showed me how. And this is another guy who's like, I've been studying this and I've decided, look, it's built in this clockwise fashion. He was right. And he also showed me that it's very likely. Whoa, Andy's son's on here. It's very likely built by multiple individuals. And after looking into it, I have to agree. Yes, it was built by multiple individuals. I would like to say hello to Andy's son, Hayden. Hey, Hayden. Uh, Andy is the man who made a tremendously significant. Cody, nice, my brother. Cody, another expeditioner is on. Yeah. Oh man, I love Cody. Cody's my brother. Anyways, Andy made a discovery on the episode of Survivor Men where there's a structure that's so significant. Survivor Men says it's not possible. Snowlow did this. It's like throwing puzzle pieces in the air position. Well, Andy Thompson went there and made a discovery about that structure, and I now call it the Thompson structure until it got torn down by a bunch of muckahais. But Andy realized in 10 minutes, quiet Andy from Alabama, my hero, this man of seems like regular stature, and now when I think of him, he's just enormous. A quiet, humble, wonderful. Oh, Andy Phillips. Anyways, I'm talking about Andy Thompson. Just a quiet, wonderful gentleman, like real gentleman, made an enormous discovery and showed us that that structure could not have happened naturally. In fact, the structure has a piece broken off, and the whole structure was lifted up like you would need a crane, and that broken end was shoved in at 90 degrees. The Sasquatch made that structure literally. It made it so obvious that it couldn't happen naturally, and people look at it and go, oh, it's, it could be natural. Joe Rogan, I don't know what's going on with Joe Rogan. I don't really worry. Joe Rogan, I think you have to go to LA to talk to Joe Rogan. So I don't know. And Cody, my brother Cody, man, you know what's so cool is what we do. The expeditions are scary, really scary. And on Cody's expedition, I had Cody and a U.S. Ranger, a retired U.S. Ranger. So what happened was probably the most our encounter on Cody's expedition. He's my brother that's on here right now, Cody Smith. What the most significant thing, in my opinion, that happened on the expedition was we heard a tree get smashed over violently. And what's awesome is most people run and cower and run away. As we heard the tree smash or violently smash over, I take a step forward and I reach to touch for my gun, and I'm waiting for maybe a grizzly bear or black bear or something charging at us. So I reach over to get my gun and I take a step forward, 2 steps forward even, because I'm waiting to see what's coming over that ridge. And I hear Mr. freaking U.S. Ranger pick up the shotgun and cock it and have that thing ready to go, moving forward, right on my back. And I look over and there's Mr. Cody. He doesn't have a gun. He's Canadian. We're from Canada. We don't do guns. What does he do? Pulls out his knife. He's standing there. Got your back, Todd. Tough guys, that's tough guys. Most people will cower in fear, and no way. These two men, that's how you show your mettle. That's how you show your color. And whatever was coming over that ridge, if it was coming for me, these two men had my back. And I could see the look in their eyes. Most people are in fear and shaking, not them. They're like, Todd Standing is my friend, and I back 100%. And whatever I said, if I would have said, there's a bear coming, we're going to take him down, Cody would have charged at him with a knife. I know it. This guy is tough like that. And if you understand people, like I've been a doorman in nightclubs, and I've seen how much cowardice there is, and most people talk, and then a real fight comes along. I was a doorman for 10 years in nightclubs. Most people will cower away and back off, and not Cody, and not my U.S. Ranger friend. So that was awesome. Loved it. The other thing that blew me away, Jonathan was the retired U.S. Ranger or former U.S. Ranger. What was cool to me, though, is they had that encounter. We didn't find the tracks and the busted tree to substantiate it. Not till the next expedition did we find that. It happened again and on the expedition 2 that year, and then we found tracks of Sasquatch and the busted tree and everything. But to them, we woke up, Cody, kaboom, Todd. Let's do it again tomorrow, bro. I miss you. I miss you too, brother. But what Cody and Jonathan both said to me was one morning we woke up and I said, guys, which way do you want to go? And Cody's like, I don't know. And then Jonathan said, I want to go that way. And he just picked this random direction. And we went up there, and we found the most significant Sasquatch tree breaks I have ever seen. Maybe 2 miles into the bush from where we were, we found this line of Sasquatch tree breaks that were like 9 feet tall, trees that were like 3-4 inches thick, and they were all broken in the same direction. And at the end of the expedition, these gentlemen found that those broken trees up on that ridge that Jonathan chose the direction to go to, taking any potential for me having done that, and those were years old. They said that was the most significant thing they'd seen, and I understand why, because that's amazing, totally amazing. Uh, Cappy asked me, would a taser affect a grizzly bear? I'll tell you something, Cappy. If you can hit a grizzly bear with a taser gun when he's coming at you, when he's charging at you, if it did affect him, his affected body would smash right over you, but it wouldn't. It would most like, you know what? You could you when you take a shotgun, like a 12 gauge shotgun with that buckshot in it, heavy buckshot, you shot that at a grizzly bear, you're just gonna piss him off. You better, when a grizzly bear goes into a fight, he's coming for blood. He's really ready to kill himself for that fight. At least initially, the testosterone's going through the roof. Extremely powerful monsters. People say monsters aren't real. When you go on expedition with me, you will be hunted and tracked by monsters that will kill you and eat you on a daily basis. And every day they will decide whether they're going to try to hunt and track and kill you or not. So you think monsters aren't real? Come out on expedition with me. So Bigfoot are amazing and awesome and spectacular, but the species that live in the wilderness, mountain lion gets a hold of you, boy. You're going to feel a little sting in the back of your neck and you meet God. So you better know what you're doing if you're going to go out in the wilderness and do this kind of stuff. Hello there. I've been a Bigfoot. Hello there. I've been a Bigfoot grave site ever found yet? We already talked about that a minute ago. Somebody asked, Tomaka, I have trouble pronouncing these funny names. How exactly did the Native Americans communicate with Bigfoot in order to trade? How did they specifically interact? Did they speak? Well, I'll tell you what I do know. My teacher, who was just the most honest, amazing man I've ever met, um, he told me that they spoke an old language of Cree, and that's all I ever. Most of the natives that I know stay away from Sasquatch. They respect them and admire them, but they know well enough to leave them alone. You want to know how Bigfoot are in an area like where I live? There's an area called the Bugaboos, and Bugaboo is Celtic and Scottish for like a big scary creature in the woods. The Scots that took that area and went there first, and the Sasquatch are there. This is a story. You got to hear this. So, but the natives never named it. You know what they called it? Don't go there. And I've noticed that in all the natives that I've went around with, they go to a spot, they go, don't go there, stay out of that spot. Natives are afraid of bears, and bears don't have a spot. They're not afraid of mountain lions, I promise you that. So if Native Americans and First Nations people are saying don't go there, it could be because there's Sasquatch there. And I need to tell you guys this. You guys are going to love this. So when I was filming with Survivor Man and I had those two spots, Nordegg and Radium, I was also doing some research in a place called the Bugaboos where there was clearly Sasquatch activity. It's very close from where I live. But so we had to get permission to film everywhere we go. So we phoned this little old lady, the BC film commissioner, and we told her we wanted to film the Bugaboos. And she goes, oh, no, I don't think I want to get permission for that. And she kept being difficult about it. And suddenly we said, we work with Survivor Men, and she asked what the show is about. And we said, well, sorry, but it's about Bigfoot. She goes, oh, well, you definitely want to go film in the Bugaboos. There's Bigfoot there. The BC film commissioner is like, yeah, there's Bigfoot there. And I go, well, ma'am, why do you know there's Bigfoot there? Oh, because they were filming a movie called, what's that movie where they were eating the dead out of the Alive, I think is what it's called. It's that movie where they were reenacting this airplane that had crashed and people had to eat dead bodies to survive. This is a huge movie. This was done by a major Hollywood production company, and the director is like Hollywood royalty. This guy, it's an amazing movie. They were filming it in the Bugaboos here in Canada because it looks like the French Alps. The Sasquatch was so pissed off and scared the crew so badly that they picked up the crew and went to the French Alps to finish filming it at tremendous expense. Since then, the BC Film Commissioner has made it their policy not to allow people to film in the Bugaboos because the Sasquatch gets so angry. And I'm talking police were there. I'm talking Wildlife officers were there, and they were all like, "These Sasquatch are freaking crazy, man. They're pissed." And they all collectively agreed to leave because of Sasquatch in the bugaboos. So I know I probably I don't know if I should be talking about this stuff. I'm at the point, whatever. Let's bring it all out. Challenge the BC Film Commissioner. I tried to research that a little more. I had some I had a lot of dealings with a lady by the name of Mary Parent, who's like Hollywood royalty. She's amazing. I was talking to her, and she was busy one weekend because she was busy getting an Oscar for best picture, like best film as the producer. I was like, I can't talk to her this weekend. I see her on stage getting an Oscar. Anyways, that powerhouse of a lady, I asked her to look into that because she is literally like Ridley Scott was her mentor. I mean, she ran Paramount for a time. She just did King Kong, so she's a Hollywood juggernaut. I'm so honored to know her. An incredible lady, and her husband was like helping me and managing me for years. But I asked her to look into that a little bit. It seems like people are just taboo about it. They don't want to talk about it. And I thought, you know, the movie Alive, those people, like a film crew, left and went to the French Alps to finish shooting because of Sasquatch. That we don't. The more you learn about this phenomenon, the more information you get. And I could tell you 100 different things like that. So have you ever encountered infants or toddler Sasquatch? I talked about that in an episode of Survivor Man, but what people should know. This has happened to me quite a few times. There's a sound that I think really young Sasquatch make because I've seen them a few times. And when a young Sasquatch, like I'm talking young, like really small, are there Bigfoot on Vancouver Island? Absolutely, yes, James. But I'm going to try to duplicate the sound. I heard it in Montana. I heard it in Washington, British Columbia, and Alberta. And every time it was substantiated by a small Sasquatch, like a young Sasquatch, maybe I'll say between 3 to 5 years old. I don't even think 5. I'd say maybe 2.5 to 4 years old. The sound, they'd get close, and the sound that they would always make is, it would sound like that. I'll try to do it again. Kind of like and like a dripping sound. So, and it always sounded low. And then as soon as I tell you, I see a young Sasquatch like that, I think of a grizzly bear cub, and it terrified me in those years. And still, it would be a point of concern because what if a young Sasquatch comes too close to me and the parents don't like it? It's very dangerous. I just think of like grizzly bear cubs, black bear cubs, mountain lion cubs. Just a dangerous situation, and I'd much prefer to deal with adults. Todd Standing is a hoax squatcher. Thanks, Creed Kafer. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I didn't even need to delete that. Where's his proof? What's his evidence? Does he think my sister's a special effects makeup artist, or does he prescribe to the theory that my dad dated a woman who owned a fabric store? Right? So, yeah, the clicking, popping sounds. Yeah, Diane, that's kind of that's the best I can duplicate it. And something else was happening. Do I think they're religious? What an excellent question. I'll do that next. Skokken. It was just a feeling of I was being watched by somebody young. The energy is different. I don't know how to explain it. And then when I had the sighting of the younger Sasquatch, it just substantiated it. And it happened so many times that yeah, I don't know. That's my strong theory. So the question is, what a good question. Do you think they're religious? Figured I'd try to ask one question later. I'm just curious about the topic of Sasquatch. Let me tell you something. I don't know about religion, but spiritual, yes, absolutely. Let's get crazy. Let's talk about some crazy stuff. You know how, like, obviously the Native Americans and the First Nations people, they had a deep spirituality. They called it the Great Spirit. They had rules, and they believed their connectivity through nature and Great Spirit. And the Great Spirit to them was God. How do I put this? I have firsthand knowledge. I'm not going to get too deep into this. I got to leave some mystery, but I have firsthand knowledge. Forget the mystery. Sasquatch are literally the highest level of shaman in First Nations and Native American culture. They perform the highest level of rituals. The Native people have all these rituals and stuff. The rituals at the highest spiritual level are performed by Sasquatch. There, I said it. Let's get controversial. Todd is 1000% real. I just have some pics of real Bigfoot. looks just like Todd Standing's one famous pic. Very true. Hey, well, Laurel, if you have pictures of Bigfoot, I'd love to see them. Send them to bigfootencounter@gmail.com. I'd love to see them. I'm so impressed with all the stuff being sent, and keep on getting deep. And you guys push me to depths. Oh my gosh, I love these questions. I just, there's books I'm supposed to be writing. There's another movie I'm supposed to be doing, and I get all these agents and people telling me, "Well, don't talk about that." You know what? Forget it. You know how crazy these agents are? They told me that they're the ones that wanted me to do the expeditions. They wanted me to take out regular everyday people, and they said, "Well, just let them pay for the expeditions. They can fund the expeditions, and we'll get the footage." So they wanted me to take people on expedition and tell the people that are paying for the expedition that they can't have the footage, and all the footage belongs to Warner Brothers. No. When people come on an expedition with me, all their footage is theirs. And if they don't want to, and if they'd like to appear in my documentary, they have to sign a waiver. If they choose not to, they won't appear in it. They're paying for the expedition. They're gonna goddamn well keep all their photos and videos and everything. So Allison Nelson asks, so the Sasquatch have a voice box for more complex speech? I'm based on what I've heard them do and the vocal range they have. I think the Sasquatch have their vocal ranges and their abilities to make sounds are far, far, far exceed humans. Remember that when a Sasquatch called back to Survivor Man in the episode of Survivor Man, we don't hear the audio of it, but Survivor Man and I heard it. Survivor Man is a professionally trained singer. Very few people in the world, like, he's a beautiful singing artist. He has wonderful music. Watch Arctic Mistress. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's his song. He's an incredible, beautiful artist. I just have so much respect for that man. A trained singer. And he made a Sasquatch call that was completely original. What I was doing all day is he was making some calls, and I was on him going, "From the heart, Les, push. That wasn't deep. From the heart, from the heart." And I kept almost bothering him to be like soulful. Don't try to make a Sasquatch sound. Try to make a beautiful sound to communicate to a Sasquatch. There's a big difference. And when he hit that sound in the episode, went, it was beautiful and loud and echoing. And my heart, it just hit a string in my heart, like ding. And after he did that, I smiled and I said, "Sorry, I was a jerk today, harking on you, but that was it." And he's like, "Yeah, I felt it." So we were connected. Like, we had this. It was good. And smiling just like this, right? So we walk away smiling. That Sasquatch, that incredibly amazing being, heard that sound, ran. I found his trackway a few weeks later. He ran up the top of the mountain and he made that precise exact sound back, except it was about 4 times louder than a professionally trained singer could do it. And it was identical. It was exactly the way Survivor Man did it, because it hit the heartstring of a Sasquatch. And that's what we do when we go out. And that's what you should be doing. That's what anybody should be doing. That's what incredible guerrilla researchers do. That's what Diane Fossey, that's what Jane Goodall does. It tugs at her heartstring. Listen to Diane Fossey make the sound of a chimpanzee when he wakes up in the morning. It's beautiful. She's a beautiful, heartfelt, artistically beautiful woman. And that's why when I do my videos, I talk about the science of Sasquatch. I talk about questions from the cooperation, but most importantly, or very importantly, I talk about the art of this discovery, because that's getting lost in science. There's art and beauty and feeling and passion and energy that science cannot yet quantify. And if you have that, you are going to be 100 times more successful in your research and moving forward. That's where great inspiration comes, is from love and from heart and from passion. So I got Danny asks, everyone thinks they only make whooping sounds made popular by TV shows. Do they truly make, like, you know what, Danny? Every time I go in and start studying a new group, they teach me the sounds they like. They teach me what they want to do. They're all individuals. They can make any sounds. They can make crow sounds. They can make, the wood knocking is this. I remember I was trying to make a wood knock to my native teacher once, and he laughed at me, because to make the wood knocking sound as crisp as a Sasquatch, you literally have to take like 2 baseball bats that are perfectly aged and treated wood and bang them together, and they make a perfect sound just like a Sasquatch. But my native teacher laughed at me when I was trying to do that. He's like, "Really? You think that's what they're doing?" He says, "You just do this." And when I make that sound, it's pretty close to what they're doing. The problem is I have little itty bitty fingers compared to a Sasquatch, and their mouths are going to be 10 times tougher and tighter. So when they have to take these big fingers and that hard, leathery, tough mouth that they have, and they make that popping sound, it sounds like like two pieces of wood banging together. And anyways, that's my theory. I've never actually seen them do that. But when you've worked with a native teacher like mine, who's brilliant and amazing, and taught me things that are just beyond science and so rich and so deep, the stuff I saw him do, when he tells you something, you listen. I mean, that man predicted the future in of the day. He'd wake up and tell me something was going to happen that day, and it would happen. It was unbelievable. Do you think Sasquatch would use tools if they were shown? No. I think Sasquatch fear technology. I think Sasquatch think that human beings have become insane because of their technology. And it's not arguable that human beings, the more technologically advanced we get, the further away we get from wilderness and survival capabilities. And they fear going down that road. And there's a whole story that the Sasquatch know. And they've watched the Native Americans and First Nations people dwindle away from the wilderness and lose their connectivity, lose their ability to track and survive. And they fear that. So they Lady in the Woods, oh man, that popped up, man. People are going like crazy here. So how far into this are we? I have no idea what time. Shortly, only 20 minutes. We've got lots of time. So some native shamans are skinwalkers. I'll tell you about skinwalkers. You're correct. I actually practice skinwalking to a certain extent. If you don't know what skinwalking is, I will tell you what I've been taught it is. Skinwalking is when people become obsessed with learning to think like an elk and to live like an elk and move like you have to live like an elk and move like an elk. So they'll put on an elk skin and pretend they're an elk and eat like an elk and move like an elk and smell like an elk. That's what I know a skinwalker to be. So it's a way to become a great hunter of elk is to skinwalk in its shoes, and they take it to extremes. But I feel that's exactly what I do is I walk like an elk, move like an elk, to think like an elk. Can you maybe explain why they just stared at you? What was that question? That sounded like a good one. Lady in the Wood asked Todd, can you maybe explain why they just stare at you? They just stare at you. They kind of, you're right. They seem to kind of, you know what though? They're so bloody patient. They'll do things. They'll stare and be calm and show calm serenity because they're not twitchy. Because they're, when you're calm, like if somebody comes up to me, my family for years was trying to scare me, come and go, boo, and I won't move because I'm very calm. I have deep serenity and I'm calm in my environment. When you have that tension and that buildup, you're twitchy. When I take people out on expedition, I am on them at all times. When you hear a sound, don't do that. Don't be twitchy. Show calm and serenity and peace at all times. Sasquatch are born and raised in the wilderness with tens of thousands of years of experience about the wilderness. They won't touch technology for fear it'll move them away from the wilderness. When you're dealing with a Sasquatch, you are literally dealing with the most calm, serene, peaceful being that's ever existed in the wilderness. Nothing has serenity like a Sasquatch. They move patiently. I feel in my heart that they how can I put this? They feel like if they're just calm and relaxed and take it easy enough, everything will come to them, you know? So just a calm, peaceful, serene being. And I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't have been drinking milk. Not a good clearing your throat thing. But yeah, and that's why they're not just staring, they're just being calm. They're moving slowly. If you're twitchy in the wilderness, I have news for you. It's one of the, I think there's 3 or 4. When a sniper hides in the wilderness, remember I train with snipers. The things that show you up in the wilderness are the things that catch a human's eye is movement, color, shape. I think it might be it. Might be another one. I should get back to school with that, huh? But anyways, movement catches your eye. So if you're moving, if you move slowly, like I've seen Sasquatch move so slowly, and they're not staring at you per se, or possibly they are staring at you. And you know, I think most people look at a Sasquatch and not believe it. Their paradigm won't even accept it. So, and maybe he's looking to see what your reaction is going to be. He's testing your mettle. Okay, you see me, have a look. What's he going to do? Twitch? You're not dealing with a twitchy being. You're dealing with the calmest, most serene being. If I was in the wilderness and you came walking by me, why is that guy staring at me? What am I going to do? Dance? La, 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 la. Dance a jig? No, you stand there. It's not necessarily staring. It's just showing calm and serenity. And yeah, Shell, you rock, Todd. Thanks for talking to us. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I enjoy you guys so much. This happens often. I think Lady in the Woods probably asked that question. Nova Star, you experienced telepathy with Sasquatch? Yes, I talked about it in my last episode where they touched the tent, and I felt like I was touching the tent. Look at my last week's live thing; it's on there. They spoke and said Enoch from the book was removed. Bible, care to elaborate? I don't know. I don't know much about. I've read the Bible and stuff. Was raised in a Christian home. My mom still attends church and is Christian, but I don't know about the attachments. I don't really like just out of respect for uh, religion and Christianity. I'd prefer to not start. I hear the Nephilim and stuff like that, and that's cool if people want to theorize that, but that's really not my place. I just stay out of that. Do they make bedding? I think so. I think I've seen bedding spots of Sasquatch. How's their hygiene? All beings in the wilderness are extremely hygienic. Wolves, mountain lions, bears, they keep clean. I mean, bears have a smell. Wolves have a smell. I I notice you keep deleting anybody. Suggest you're a fraud. You should. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, Amanda's running all this. So uh, if people are suggesting I'm a fraud, of course people are suggesting I'm a fraud. People are going to doubt what I am doing, but I don't mind people suggest. That's no point to that though. Amanda should be deleting that crap. We're here to have a good discussion. Okay, Todd, I think you're a fraud, and this is why I think you're a fraud. Let me explain it. You know what I mean? Like, let's have a discussion. You don't just throw crap out there, because most of the garbage that's running around out there, it's total garbage. Like, remember, my colleagues, Jeff Meldrum, John Bennernagel, Les Stroud, if I was ever proven to be fake or hoaxing, they would never talk to me ever again. I can call Jeff Meldrum tomorrow. I can call Ian Redmond tomorrow. Believe me, I am calling them because they're trying to do TV shows and movies with me at all times. I'm going through that stuff every day. So, Cappy, you're not a fraud. Well, thank you. You're not going to get deleted or taken off for that. But here's something. We've been flanked and escorted out of area by Sasquatch. That sounded like a really cool thing, and I think I can elaborate on that. It looked like he said we've been flanked and moved out of an area by Sasquatch. Yes, I have. Holy crap, so many times. The bold. I have a path. I've literally had a path in front of me, and I go left or right. There's two ways out. So I go left. A boulder comes running down the hill. Smash, group, I go, I think the Sasquatch are saying go right. So yeah, they very often do this to me. So we're trying to keep conversations positive. Thank you for that. So it's true. You know, there's a lot of people that have really good questions. If you think I'm a fraud and a hoaxer and you hate me, leave. You're not welcome here. So if you think I'm a fraud and my work is not legitimate and you have something to say, you have a question to ask that's not ridiculous and asinine, don't ask me a gay woman in a fabric store. It's ridiculous. You show your ignorance by saying ridiculous stuff like that. And a lot of people, like when Jeff Meldrum initially was working with me, a lot of people go, I'm not talking about Todd Standing. He's a proven fraud. And Jeff would go, well, I'm going to have to tax you to this one because I am going to go work with the man unless you tell me why he's a proven fraud. And then they start blabbing their gums. And what they would, when you say my dad dated a woman who owned a fabric store, Jeff would go, that's your proof? And they go, yeah, see, I told you. He's a proven fraud. Jeff goes, thank you for your time. And he comes and works with me because that's an asinine statement from moronic people that, like, what are you talking about? Do you even listen to the things that are coming out of your mouth? I won't talk about Todd. We already proved him a hoaxer. No, you didn't, and you won't. So the more you study and look at my research, the more you realize I take people out and show them Sasquatch. Ask Cody who's on here, So that's what I do. And I'm sure there's other colleagues of mine that are on here, but Dr. Meldrum is my hero. I love that guy. He's just like, man, I invited him out to come I invited him to come out this year, and someone was going to pay for him to come out and stuff, and it was all cool. And I said, so I asked him, I talked to him about it, and what he said? He said he was jazzed to do that. He's such a cool guy. Who says that? I was jazzed to come out. I absolutely do it. It's legit. Anyone calling him a fraud is jealous. The Bigfoot community, yeah. I don't even consider that there is a Bigfoot community. There's no community. Those people are all stabbing each other in the back and trying to be the best. The day they have the best Sasquatch researcher competition, I will not be there. I'm about cooperation. So have you ever seen more than one family at a time? Oh, no. I really, no. No. Family areas are like, that's the family group. So I was around. I love Billings, Montana. Been there, love that place. There's Sasquatch there. Um, I believe I was around when a male was fighting for dominance of the group and he lost. So, thank you very much for your donation, Scottish. Did you have a question, sir? Al Bunny for 10. I think meeting you would be just as cool as meeting Bigfoot. Just saying. Thanks, bro. You know, my expeditions are so fun. 90% of people that come on my expeditions want to come back. And those 90 people, you know, my best friends now are expeditioners. You know, I'm going through a terrible time in my life. Rich, an expeditioner that's been out with me twice, is giving me advice and helping me be a better man. Uh, Andy, did I see Claudia? Is Claudia on there? Andy Thompson is just my hero. Thanks, Amanda. You're so freaking smart. Uh, I'd love to take you out on an expedition, Amanda. Anyways, you know, when you go out on an expedition with me, you bleed, and you fight, and you struggle, and you go through everything. Um, yeah, it's you change, things change, and you build bonds. It's beautiful. Todd, at what age will you take your own son out? Oh, yeah, I don't know. I just adore my little boy. You know, my little boy, he's the sweetest, most incredible human being I've ever met. I love him to death. And it's hard for him because his dad's very brave. I skydive, I rock climb, I kayak, I mountain bike down scary runs. I'm an expert snowboarder. It's hard because, you know, he's just learning this stuff, and it's tough to have a dad like me. So I don't know, like grizzly bears will be around, and I'll stand up to them. It's very scary for a little boy. He loves his dad, you know. So it's a real tough situation for my awesome dude. He even asked me once. He was so concerned about me getting injured and some bad stuff happened, and yeah, he asked me to maybe not do Sasquatch research anymore. And he's the only person in the world at this stage that could really, you know, stop that. But we had to talk about it, and I have an important thing to do. You know what he needs to learn is you don't quit on something. When you fight and you put this much of an investment into something, and you're passionate about it, and you're telling the truth, and you're being a good man about it, you go fight for it. And that's what I'm teaching him, doing this research and pushing through it. So Bigfoot advice to someone who goes out on their own expedition: don't go alone, Kyla. Be very careful. For God's sake, take some tracking device or something. The man that just went missing, Ben, that in Merritt, that I went and helped with the search and rescue, you got to take some device where search and rescue can find you. Make sure you can be found. Make sure you be really careful. Learn and work your way into it slowly. You know, read the books. You know, learn about the theories, but just work ease your way into it slowly, and always go with somebody else, if not multiple people. There's no reason to not go out with at least two people. And yeah, so you know, that's what, if you're getting into this, study nature. It's not about Sasquatch. Sasquatch is nature. Study it, learn about it, eat the plants, become one with nature, walk around barefoot, connect to the earth, drink the water, do all these things. As long as the water's safe where I live, I drink the water because it's Canada, it's beautiful. So you know, but yeah, be really careful. It's There are monsters that will kill you out in the wilderness where I live. You know, you go up north further, the freaking bears in Alaska are beastly monsters that are terrifying. So, whew, crazy. So yeah, be careful. So glad I cut the live stream. Thank you, Distortion Bristol. They get used to certain people that come there often. What's that? They get used to certain people that come there often. Do they get used to certain people that come there often? Yes, it's called habituation. Uh, yeah, and the more when you're learning about Sasquatch, when you're doing research with them, they'll test you. Who doesn't? In any relationship, you must test the other individual. You know, you get through hard times, through the most difficult uh, paradigms to break through, is where you really test your mettle, and the Sasquatch will do that to you. They will test your mettle over and over. There's a gentleman that was just talking to me, and told me about, he wanted Sasquatch off his property. Man, I wanted to do a show with that guy, but he didn't want to talk on the phone because he was asking so many questions that many people have asked me before, and they were tossing rocks in his direction. They were making sounds around him. They were acting a bit aggressive. But what I saw is I saw them learning to interact with him and testing his mettle and respecting him. And I told him, and this is something I've really been thinking a lot about recently, because people have asked me a lot: how do you get rid of Sasquatch on your land? I have no idea because that's not what I do. I don't get rid of Sasquatch. I interact with them. I work with them. Even there is a case where people bought a property uh, in North Dakota, and there were clearly Sasquatch on it, and the Sasquatch were being aggressive and doing things that were very scary, walking around sticks, bashing them. I felt that their behavior was very hostile and very angry. And he asked me, "How do I get rid of them?" Move. That's why they got the property for so cheap. He got that property for extremely cheap, and I believe that's because there were angry, hostile Sasquatch on there. And I don't know how to get rid of them, and that's not something I'm ever going to study or be a part of. I would say win them over. I would say they're wonderful beings, earn their trust. But in the case of that, those people that bought that land for cheap, I didn't know what to say. I was really scared for his safety. I just told him leave. It's too much. You know, if they're smashing sticks at you and smashing the ground with sticks and bashing things and crashing, the behaviors that he was reporting to me were very scary. And I told him I just get out of there, sell that property. You know, I feared for his family in that case, and not to say that Sasquatch are like that, but you know, what did that Sasquatch troop go through? Did somebody shoot one of their family members? If somebody shot my son, if a species shot my son, if a Sasquatch shot my son, I would hate them forever. Hate. I don't like to use that word, but you know. So what did they go through to get to that point? And they have every right. People can be evil, horrible evil. Oh, it looked like a good question, just missed it. Question for Todd: what do you know about Sasquatch in Idaho? I went to Idaho to interview Jeff Meldrum and speak with him. I love that guy. And how did I? There were some people. Oh no, it was a Sasquatch summit. And going through Idaho, I saw tree breaks in Idaho. Um, I found there were salmon that were going through particular spots of Idaho where there were Sasquatch structures and tree breaks. And then I met a man from Idaho at the Sasquatch Summit where Survivor Man and John Benedigal and Jeff Meldrum were all there. All my friends and colleagues were there, and that man had some amazing Sasquatch stuff going on in Idaho. And for some reason, though, he didn't want to. He wanted he wanted boots on the ground. He didn't want Jeff Meldrum. I highly recommended Jeff Meldrum, and I really suggested he work with Jeff Meldrum, but he wanted me, and that wasn't going to happen. But I told him what to do. So he asked me if they follow the elk, and I said the elk are their cattle. Absolutely, they follow the elk. That's what I learned that in Montana definitively, working around Montana in different spots. So Claudia Ackley, hey sweetie, Claudia's here. Where's Claudia? Hi guys, hi Claudia. You don't have a picture, Claudia. You need to get a picture on your emoji. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the world famous Claudia Ackley, my friend and colleague from California, a very brave lady who's been through hell and back and has shown no quit when it comes to fighting for this legal process to move forward. Um, I met with the biggest names in Bigfoot, and I was willing to be forgiving and say, you know, let's just work together. The biggest names, and I said, we need to move forward with this court case in the United States. And the biggest cooperations and the biggest groups in the world that I talked to, they all said no, 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 and they had their pathetic little excuses because they all like to talk. And along came little Claudia Ackley, who said, I will do it with you, Todd. I will help you fight for this acknowledgement and this court case in the United States. And she lives and she's a Californian, and she did it, man. She went down there, she fought for it, she's legit, and we've worked very well together. I'm very proud to call her my friend. And Claudia Ackley's lawsuit is supported by all the evidence that I bring to the table, all my colleagues. So the California court case is very serious. We're talking Jimmy Chilcott, right? We're talking Jeff Meldrum. We're talking Survivor Man will be subpoenaed. The best in the world will come out to that and bring the best evidence. DNA will show up to that court case with Claudia Ackley, all resting upon her shoulders. She's the one that puts it in. So if we lose, she's responsible. And I admire that. Most people chicken out, most people quit. She has tremendous responsibilities with her family, and even ex-husbands that are calling her, using the Sasquatch phenomenon against her to get custody and fighting with the children. It's awful. People should be ashamed of themselves. So I see what Claudia has gone through, what more than anybody else would take for this, and I admire her for that. So thank you very much, Claudia. Todd, much respect. I admire your work. As soon as I get in order with my life, I will send some finances to help for the movement. Thank you very much. It's Patreon is the best place to get things through to me now. It's not just a donation. It's you're part of the cooperation. You're part of this discovery process. I I still am going to start the first ever discovering Bigfoot research site where I have a full time research center where people are studying Sasquatch every day, boots on the ground. Someone's always there. So I've had a big hiccup in my life recently. Well, that's understatement from hell, but everything's been flipped upside down, and so many things have been destroyed in my life. But I'm just going to get back on track. I just basically got shot. Now I have to heal from my wounds. Actually, I've been shot and the bullet hasn't been taken out yet. So once I get the bullet taken out from my gunshot wound, and this is all, of course, metaphorically speaking, once I get the bullet wound out, then I'll be able to heal from it. But believe me, um, it's still working. Happiest wife ever. Me and my kids love watching Texas. I love Texas. My mom worked in Texas, San Antonio, the Padre Islands is one of my favorite national parks in the whole world. I was attacked by a shark there in the Padre Islands. Never forget that. Even I'll just tell you, I don't want to talk about what's going on in my life right now. Just personally, it's pretty brutal, and the sickness of depression and anxiety is a horrible, horrible thing. It's very real, and it's profoundly affecting my life through another individual. But anyways, here I'll tell you about a shark attack. This is cool, man. You didn't think that the wilderness guy was ever. What happened was I was in the Padre Islands and I was like a dummy. I was snorkeling around with flippers, and really good. I had really good snorkeling. Like I do. Uh, I scuba dive, so I had my scuba diving flippers on. You can't see anything. You can't see your hand in front of your face. There's so much sediment in the water. So, anyways, something like latches onto my flipper and just gives it a bite, and then I could see a tail whip up in the air, and it let go. A shark bit my flipper. I had like teeth holes in my flipper, and so I went to the park service up where the warden is. There's all these people standing around, and I have my flipper, and I go, "Are there sharks out here that would like attack you?" And he grabs a hold of me and takes me off to the corner. He goes, "Yes, yes, we have sharks here." And I go, "What kind of sharks do you have here?" And he goes, "Whoa, we have all kinds of sharks here." And dumbass that I am, I was actually filming these beautiful fish that were flipping around in the waves. Those are a special kind of fish that the bull sharks eat. And I'm like filming these. I'm like, "Oh, look how cool." And usually when they're jumping like that, it's because the bull sharks are attacking them. So, me being a total dumbass, I'm out there filming these beautiful fish jumping out of the water, probably from the bull shark. And it wasn't a bull shark that attacked me. I figured it out because they had all the shark tails and fins. It was definitely not a bull shark. It was a smaller shark that attacked me and bit my leg. But anyways, Cassie Bullfrog, I don't have a girlfriend, and I was married. But anyways, so and then I asked, what other kind of sharks out here? Well, bull shark's the most dangerous. He's like, "Oh, we even have like great whites out here." I'm like, "What the hell, man?" Swimming around in the freaking water like an idiot. Can't see my hand in front of my face. And there's freaking great white sharks and bull sharks all over the place. So it's amazing how what fish and wildlife won't show you. Hi, man, waving a hand. Thank you very much for the donation. I greatly appreciate it. Remember, you can also make donations at my Patreon account. So, but I'm very grateful for that. Found scat with bark in it. How do I make a casting? Found scat with bark in it. I've never heard of making a casting out of a scat sample. Take a picture of it, get your references. I recommend you put it in a bag and freeze it, like a plastic bag, and freeze it until unless you have the expertise of just what John Benernagel, the wildlife biologist PhD, would do, is he would split it open and have a look inside and move around and look for debris of things that aren't perfectly digested. Yes, thank you for your support. 400 WP. What does that mean? Anyhow, thank you very much for that. So yeah, that's what you do with scat. I took scat to the first time I ever met Survivor Man, Sasquatch scat. It was incredible, totally incredible what was in that scat. The great Survivor Man looked at that scat and could not identify it as any known species. And there's a damn good reason for that, because that scat was Sasquatch scat. So, and I legitimately had it was in the bloody Fairmount Hotel. He's having dinner and I pull out Sasquatch excrement on the table and there was no smell to it, which is something I should really talk about, because I have found scat, gosh, less than 10 times, and I've never seen any signs of meat in it at all. And I know they follow the elk herds around. They move the elk. I'm assuming they must survive the elk. How come no DNA proof? All the lab stuff? Are you kidding me? Who says that? No DNA proof. Where the hell's my papers? I have DNA proof. So I have piles of DNA proof. What do you mean no DNA proof? And remember this. Todd Distitel is a geneticist, and he talked to Jeff Meldrum. He talked to other PhDs. Thank you very much for the donation, Kalek. The freaking geneticists won't test it. And if they do test it, when they get the test and it shows unknown primate species, they won't talk about it because they think I'm cooking DNA in a crock pot in my basement, fooling PhDs. What am I going to get credit for next? I'm some genius that's cooking DNA in a crock pot in the basement? Come on, get off of it. So we have DNA. That'll be presented at court and more. So there's DNA, and there'll be more. The problem is, I work with Jeff Meldrum and John Benenagel. These great men, these PhDs, they couldn't get my DNA tested. Jeff Meldrum's a professor at Idaho State University. He couldn't get my DNA tested. I had to get Paleo Lab to do it. So it's not like you think it is. And you know what? DNA has been done, and I've been told that the DNA is legit. I think the Melba Ketchum DNA is legit, not based on what she says, but based on independent labs that are backing up her findings. And what happened to that? It's in Zoobank. Go look it up. I have copies of it. I had a geneticist friend of mine look it up, and he thinks it's legit. Claudia, we don't stop talking about, can't get it so fast. These things are going. Greetings, folks. Hello, Braun Dwarf. I'm confident they eat meat. So am I. Just skin an animal so you don't see the predator hair. You know, and this is something important. I may have discussed this before, but just quickly, that I'm also convinced they eat meat because if I find a skeleton of a elk or a deer or a moose, and I believe it's been eaten by Sasquatch, I can tell because the ribs have been busted off at the spine and the ends have been sucked out of it. I think that's something that Sasquatch do. And Shane, you're right. Funding can solve anything. The reason the Discovering Bigfoot documentary exists is because a man called me a long time ago, back in 2013 or 12 or something, and said, "Hey, let's go prove Bigfoot's real. You're going to do this and I'll give you money for that." And that's why that whole documentary happened. He paid for Jeff Meldrum and John Benedict to come out, paid for that. So, and we didn't make money back from that movie, not even close. The $400,000+ and the tens of thousands of hours that were spent making that documentary have never been and never will be paid back. That was something done as a love and a passion. And DNA, definitive new Sasquatch answer, Sasquatch proof. I don't know what that means. But anyways, that's all I have to say about that. So, hey, Claudia, what are you LOLing about? Haha. Do they eat people? Oh, I don't know. I hope not. People are yucky. You won't eat people. Why would you eat people when you can eat a beautiful elk and have some delicious moose meat that's pure and from the earth? People are, ugh. Even I eat extremely well. I wouldn't want to eat me. But no, it doesn't make sense. Thanks Andy Baker for the compliment on my documentary. I'm very proud of that documentary. Do they blur their dead under dirt and rocks? Do they bury their dead? I don't know. Some of the natives didn't do that. Some of the natives put their people up on sticks. And I go past a native burial ground to go to one of my research sites. It's very rocky there, and they just put the natives are putting their people in their rocks, and the bears, the mountain lions, and the wolves don't mess with it. How does that happen? Ask that to a scientist. Why is there dead bodies in there, and no animals go into there? You know why? Because it's sacred ground, and the animals understand that energy, and they don't go in there. So, what do you think Sasquatch minds speak? I think it's real. I think they communicate with each other over great distances. And yeah, so cannibalism is a critical part of witchcraft. What? I almost wish I hadn't read that. I don't know about witchcraft. Do their smell come from smell? Yeah, sweat glands. Is Bigfoot real? Have we met? Somebody just asked me if Bigfoot's real. Yes, they're real. I take people out and show them Sasquatch. Who is this person? They're real. Do they get sick like humans? Oh, I don't know. How would they? Like human beings have sicknesses, the viruses and stuff. So one thing to be very concerned about is what if gorillas catch a cold, they'll kill a whole troop of gorillas. So Sasquatch would probably be the same thing. I don't think they could deal with our viruses and our sicknesses. So, Todd, what do you plan for the next summer and getting out in the field? I just want to get out. I want to be a full-time Sasquatch researcher. And thanks to the donations of so many people that are on board and so many more people I'm going to allow to help and get involved, I think that dream is going to become a reality. What I had to do is I had to stop. All these networks and movie companies and production companies are all chasing me around and all blowing sunshine up my butt. And it's bad, really bad. I spend so much time working. Like right now, I'm working on a deal that should go through for God's sake, but it likely won't. I literally have like a 1 in 20 chance of having success with a television show. Survivor Man was a tremendous success. Working with him was incredible and amazing, and doing the documentary was incredible and amazing. And having that get picked up by Warner Brothers Independent and having it distributed was enormous. Uh, Creed Kiefer, Fraud Standing. It rhymes, Fraud Standing, but it's a lie. So do you have something? Usually, I find um, these little. They don't have something. Say something, Kiefer. You think I'm not afraid of you? What do you got to say? Bring it out. Come on. You got a question, or are you just gonna sit there and be a hater? Right? That's you're a coward. You have something to say to me? Say it. If you don't, if you're just gonna sit there and throw insults, I'm not insulting you. I respect your opinion. If you have something to say it. If you're just gonna be a douche and talk smack like that, then go somewhere else. I have no time for that crap in my life. I have time for constructive criticism. I have plenty of time for people that have uh, important questions of all kinds. I fear no question. Do you understand that? Ask me anything, and I'll answer it. There is no proof of fraud. There is no proof of hoaxing. There never will be. There is no gaps in my story because it's not a story. This is my life experience. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the 50,000 things I did to get to that point. If you specifically want a specific answer about a specific thing, ask, and I will tell you. So, Todd, your skin has gotten thicker. Yeah, it has. It has. I've been through a lot. I just feel like I'm going around telling everybody the world's round, and everybody's looking at me going, "Nah, man, it's flat." And I'm like, "Sasquatch are real." I tell this is one of my quotes. You can. I think people who don't believe that are. I think people that definitively say Sasquatch are not real shouldn't take long walks for fear of falling off the face of the earth because they're flat earthers, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, Todd Windigo. Windigo is a terrible term. It's for like a cannibal, horrible thing. Some people have applied Windigo to Sasquatch, but it's in my knowledge, like the natives that I've spoken with, it's a terrible. I think somebody one time got so sick and mentally deranged that they started killing and eating other people. And have Sasquatch ever tried to kill me? If a Sasquatch don't try anything, Sasquatch have shown me that they can kill me and not. If a Sasquatch ever wanted me gone, nobody would ever find my body. I would disappear and never be found again if they choose it. They are the masters of the wilderness. They continuously dominate me at all times when I'm in their presence, without exception. The moment they want me gone, I will be gone. The moment they want to take somebody from the expedition, and that person will disappear forever and never be found if they make that decision. That's how dominated I am by them. And I'm a man who goes out there and dominates the bears, dominates the wolves, dominates the mountain lions. No known species dominates me. I'm tremendously confident in my abilities with all known wild species. Sasquatch are not a known wild species, and they allow me to survive. They allow me to live within their areas, and I think that's why I get such good success. Is I have such respect for them as my teachers. I am their student, and when they're ready to teach me stuff, that's what I try to do to be a good student, is to be ready for the next lesson. Um, oh, so much going fast here again. Bigfoot is seen, curved Earth, spaceships, globe, believers. Do you carry a gun with you? Take the fifth on that one because I'm Canadian. In Canada, we're not allowed to carry guns in the wilderness without special permits that are extremely difficult to get. So that's a handgun. You're allowed to carry a shotgun or a rifle, but in my experience, carrying a shotgun and a rifle, you will never get any sort of interaction with a Sasquatch. That might be Canadian Sasquatch too, because the Canadian Sasquatch have seen guns and rifles and what they can do. If I carry a handgun and I partially conceal it, just keep it on my hip covered, I don't do that. But if I did do that, they don't seem to be bothered by it. And the Sasquatch, if I did do that, which I don't do that, um, if a Sasquatch see that gun and see that I put my hand on it, and as soon as I realize they're a Sasquatch, I would suggest you take it off, because you cannot point a gun at a Sasquatch. They will kill you. If you take on a Sasquatch in any way, shape, or form, if you try to harm a Sasquatch, you will die. So that's my opinion. Somebody just asked about why do I seem to have facial shots, not full body? Have you seen? You know what's hilarious about that is what video 2 and video 3 are full body shots and no facial. You know what people said? How come you don't get any facials? I go and get facial shots. Now you know what people say? I don't get body shots. It's always something more. And you know what? I get what I get. Whatever is presented to me, I get. You don't sit there and go, hey, pretty Sasquatch, can you get out of the shadow? Move over to the light. And it's funny how a lot of these people, I remember somebody in particular complaining about my Sasquatch footage. My 8 videos of Sasquatch footage filmed over a decade of time, 8 crystal clear videos. Believe me, I have other ones that are not crystal clear that I don't show people. However, this person that was this big Sasquatch expert flapping his gums and complaining about my stuff. And then I asked him this really important question that was very interesting. I said, you know what? Show me your Sasquatch footage so I can complain about it. He didn't have any, did he? He had none. So I said, you know what? When you've gotten 2 definitive crystal clear pieces of Sasquatch footage, you can come join the big boy club. Until then, you go flap your gums somewhere else. I don't just film them. I take people out and show them Sasquatch. What have you done? Oh, you got a track back in 85. That track sucks. That track is so bad, I don't even think it's real. Could be easily fake. There's no organicness to it. I don't see any dermal ridges. The spacing looks off. Your track is mediocre. So I don't mean to be a jerk, but what a douche. Come on. Where's your Sasquatch footage? It sure is easy to criticize. And these people, these Bigfoot people that criticize me, you're a Bigfoot expert. Okay, cool. Where's your footage? Don't have none. And you're going to criticize me? What do you even say to that? I got 8 videos. How many you got? None? 0? You don't even have blurry videos? If I started bringing out my blob squatchy stuff, I'd have 50. Come on. For every time I film them, I have many crappy videos that are still better than anything they have. So, and the fact that I took Survivor Man out, I took Jeff Meldrum out. You know how many people have shown Jeff Meldrum a Sasquatch? Just ballpark it. Just let's ballpark it. 1, me. You know how many times he's been out with me? Once for 3 days. Showed the man a Sasquatch. Every time you watch an episode of Survivor Man and Bigfoot, he live interacts with a Sasquatch. He has footage of the top of the head of a Sasquatch. No big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal. And that's 3-4 days at a time Survivor Man came out with me. So, something about a Yowie Quest asked, what camera did you use to get your Sasquatch footage? Every camera was different. The last one that I got video 8 out of, though, I don't have that camera here right now. It was a Canon, I think it's called SX50. Hey, SX50, but the HS is important. That means high sensitivity. Because I'll tell you, in video 8, that's the dark face Sasquatch, the last one in my documentary, where he's blinking really fast at me because he's pissed right off. What's amazing about that is I heard him coming, and I heard like a heard him like skid on the ground. I saw a light go dark. Like there was a space where there was light through it, like a log where there was a light, and it went dark. With my naked eyes, I couldn't see him. But that camera is so incredible that when you zoom in, I'm sorry, milk was a bad choice. Here, I got something else. 1 second. When you zoom in with that camera, the HS, it literally takes a dark spot and lightens it. It brings up it increases the exposure. So I'm filming a Sasquatch, and that 50 times optical is ridiculous. I'm filming him. Gosh, he was 150 yards away from me in the shadows, and I got that shot with that camera. Amazing. That camera is, and now they have the 60, maybe the 80 I heard was coming out. Get that camera. It's $400. If you do research, it's tough. It's not waterproof, but just keep it from getting soaked. That camera's been bashed around and kicked and busted. Cameras are hard. That's a Canon, the Canon SX50 HS. They have a 60 now. That's what I tell people. Go get that camera. It's amazing. But I filmed some with a Canon. I filmed one with a Sony. I wreck cameras like crazy. That's the reality of what I do, right? I've come home. I've gone out with 2 cameras, come home with none. They're both wrecked. I've had a Sasquatch encounter that would have blown everybody's mind. Camera don't work. Now what do you do? What happened to your camera? Well, I fell off a ledge and busted one. The lens got broken. What are you doing falling off ledges? I'm doing real research. I'm not flapping my gums on the internet. And the other one just got wet. It was raining, and I don't know, it got damp and moisture, and turned it on, and it didn't work. So I've used so many cameras, though, but that's my favorite one. That's the one I recommend. Are there big differences in how Sasquatch look due to their inbreeding and other breeds? Yeah, Sasquatch look different. Their colors are different. I don't know about their breeding traits and whatnot, though. Todd, is it true that Bigfoot excrete a foul smell through sweat glands when they feel threatened, and that's why so many people smell that foul smell? Yes. More importantly, remember, if you smell a Sasquatch, they didn't die by he's letting you know he's there. There's no way there's a Sasquatch excreting that urine like that, and he knows damn well he smells, and he knows damn well you have the wind gauge. He knows. So he caught that cough from a female Sasquatch he was with last night. No, no, there's no male DNA in the Sasquatch DNA. It's all female, human female DNA on the female mitochondrial side. Just so you know. Funny question. I like to laugh. Come on, Jim Carrey, Mike Myers, they're Canadians. I think laughter keeps Canadians warm. We get cold and we laugh, and laughter generates heat. I'm great at laughing. It's one of my favorite things. Do I think they like me? Yes, I think they have tremendous respect for me. I think they really enjoy it and get excited when I come around. That's why I'm their movie of the week. Appearance changes regionally. Would you agree? I don't have enough information. I only do one region really. I called it the Bigfoot North region. Discovering Bigfoot was originally called Bigfoot North because that's my home. That's where I work. It's Pacific Northwest, Alberta, British Columbia. You could go up. I could go up to Alaska. I could do well all the way down. And then when you get into Oregon, Idaho, Montana is like Alberta. Washington's like British Columbia. Oregon, Idaho, and then into California. I do pretty well. I do pretty well. That's. And then when you start getting further past that, it gets cactusy and deserty, and the species start changing, and uh, the deer gets smaller. I don't even know if there's moose. There's no moose down there, and elk and bears. So it's very different. So I go into an area where I see this crazy weird bear behavior in California. Those bears aren't wild anymore. They learn to live in urban or they learn to live around people. Their behaviors don't make any sense to me because they're not hunting deer and they're not foraging for berries. They're not the same bears that I know. I know wild animals. And Claudia, you're my hero, Claudia. That's what I have to say about you. You're amazing. You can look up Claudia Ackley, the fight that she went through, and that we're going with again. All the crap you went through, Claudia, and you think you would have quit, but oh no, she just can't wait to get back in the fight. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Going to Mount Hood this summer. Will you keep me informed, sir? I love the Mount Hood area. Beautiful, very exciting. I hope you have tremendous success, sir. Please keep me informed, especially at bigfootencounter@gmail.com. Is there any in Ohio? I don't know. I wish there was. I spent some time in Ohio. Ohio, I have a friend there. I have a friend who's like a brother there, like a brother there that just has done things for me and helped me in ways that will always be remembered, never be forgotten. And that brother of mine is an Ohio man, and that's his home state. That's where he lives and loves. And anyways, I don't want to talk more about that, but yeah, I didn't find much in Ohio. I had yeah, tons in Ohio allegedly. They do call it the grass man, which means it's green. People have reported green, which is not. It's very perplexing to me. But yeah, Ohio is beautiful, gorgeous, beautiful state. Very different. It's more like it's obviously on the East Coast, so it's more like Ontario, I've noticed, but beautiful, beautiful state. Wonderful people there. Uh, it's just been an honor and a privilege to be affiliated with that wonderful state. It has a special place in my heart. But I have personally never seen anything there in the times that I spent there, and anything to do with Sasquatch. And I've never seen significant evidence to substantiate that. But then look at the lady from Maryland that I did a video on. The video is called Sasquatch are 60 miles from where President Trump sleeps. If they can be in Maryland, why can't they be in Ohio? I just haven't had enough substantiation. Yeah, it looks like a ghillie suit would be the grass man. But anyways, I just don't know anything about it. And I'd love to do more work all over the place. But really, if I'm going to get success, I have to be laser. I have to focus on where I am and what I know, what I can do here, and what I've habituated here. And so that's what I'm focused on. Jonathan, you're back. You got it, Todd. Keep you posted. That's bigfootencounter@gmail.com. Or even on this one, I'm telling people, hell, come see me at northbigfoot@gmail.com. I'm pretty sure that's that email address. Yeah, is it North Bigfoot or Bigfoot? Bigfoot@gmail.com. You can go and send me some stuff there, just you guys. President Trump is a juvenile Sasquatch. Yeah. Hey, Dad, Carol. Okay, if Big Feet, sorry, can be protected by law or should have human rights, do you think they could be accountable if they break the law, like harm a human? Ooh, well, absolutely. What a cool question. Because they will. They will. They will be sentient, and that's. I mean, that's deep. Wow. Yeah, Claudia, isn't it cool? All these people are so amazing. That's a deep question. Well, that's really next level stuff. Will they be charged with the crime? Well, yeah, I would think so, but it's just so next level stuff. Like we got to prove they exist first. Let's that's cart before the horse kind of thing. I got to get them accepted and acknowledged. And so, if anybody has an encounter near Big Bear, California, contact me. Oh, that's Claudia. Yes, absolutely, Claudia. She's the California lady. Big Bear specifically. That's up in her area. Gosh, she put up a sign in an area where she had a Sasquatch encounter, and I'm very convinced her Sasquatch encounter is legitimate. In fact, that's not even correct. I'm beyond convinced. There's a video talk about it. California Sasquatch video. It's a Saturday video. I do videos every Saturday, and unless I'm on expedition, and I do these Wednesday shows every Wednesday unless I'm on expedition because I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Why do Bigfooters fight amongst themselves so much? Ego? Yeah, really. Why? So I'm not interested in fighting. And you know what? Look at Jeff Meldrum's not part of any organization, not officially. You know, they might have him listed on the BFRO, but he's not a BFRO guy. And John Bennernagel especially, no affiliate. Even with me, you know, I asked him to be part of my cooperation and work with me, but there's a certain thing about being independent. And maybe John would have come on board with me eventually. I mean, he certainly participated in my documentary. He participated. What he said, I'm firmly convinced Todd Standing has filmed portraits of the Sasquatch face. That's what he said after working with me. That man is very brave. He's my hero. I miss him. It's been very hard on me that he passed away. It broke my heart. So he called me and told me that he had cancer and they only had a certain time to live. And I just bawled. I was like, I was so upset. And he couldn't believe it. He's like, "What are you so upset?" I'm like, I just, you know, what we've been through, all the time we've spent together. I admire you and I'm gonna miss you. So yeah. Anyway, uh, all fringe communities in sight, unfortunately. So if someone had a green look, could be due to the lighting in the hair. I think this person's talking about from the clans of Sasquatch, talking about the greenness of the grass man. So Todd, I'm starting movement, boots on the ground, Missouri. Well, sir, anything I can do to help? Listen to this and listen carefully. All the work I've done, all the DNA I've done, all the cooperation that I've built, my documentary itself. If you know Sasquatch are real and that can help you, you have it. It's yours. Go show it to people. You want to have a little festival, you want to have a little thing, call me and ask permission. I'd like to talk to you. That's for Todd. I want to do this thing. I want to show people about Sasquatch. I'd love to help you. It would be such an honor and a privilege for me to know that people are using evidence that I've helped gather, that Jeff's helped gather, that John Butternagle helped, that Survivor Men. It would be such an honor to know that's out there and that's doing stuff. And you wait and see what's going to happen, boy. Even the original documentary, video 2 and 3, my mini doc that I did back in 2007. My native teacher said, "You make sure this isn't about you. You make sure you're doing this for the right reasons. You have to be true to yourself at the end of the day." And somebody saw Alabama Sasquatch Research site. Alabama Sasquatch Research, you need to send an email to bigfootencounter@gmail.com. There's a brilliant man named Andy Thompson, who's my colleague and friend, that you need to have as part of your cooperation. That man is just what I love. I love humble. I do. I love humble people. And thank you, Jennifer. Do y'all find the missing guy in Canada? No, Jennifer. No. So I don't really want to talk about. I went out there and yeah. It would be such a miracle if that man had survived. So at this point, man, people worked hard. People were out there fighting in merit. I was so proud. But I learned so much about search and rescue too, and how it's difficult for me as a tracker who relies on animals to find a man who's gone missing, because You can email me random hero at northbigfoot@gmail.com. But anyways, yeah, that's a horrible thing. But anyways, I rely on animals to find people or to find things. And the animals are going nuts. There's dirt bikes and quads and helicopters flying over. Animals go crazy. And it's a very strange place in Merritt because there are cattle that free roam through the wilderness with wild horses and mountain lions. There's a wolf up there. You got bears going through the place, cattle bodies all over the place because cattle die up there. And it was just very crazy. There's a good question. I love it. Do Bigfoot store foods? Let me tell you something. This is amazing. So a gentleman by the name of Randy Brisson, who's a hero of mine. I introduced him to John Brennan. I go, wonderful, wonderful hero of a man. Excellent, tough as nails, wonderful man. Took me up to altitude where he was going to show me how the Sasquatch take there's salmon that spawn. And when the salmon spawn, there's thousands of them all over the place. They usually rot mostly. No species. William Mike, thank you very much for your donation, sir. If you had a question, I'd love to hear it. Do you have a question? You can donate and fund me at patreon.com as well, right? That's a great place to go. If you go to Patreon, I'll give you stuff. I'll give you lots of stuff. There'll be giveaways for my Patreon people. But anyways, so what the Sasquatch do, and I saw this, there's Sasquatch tracks up the mountain. They take the salmon down low out of the rivers. They take it up to altitude into the permafrost. They wrap it in sphagnum moss and put it in the sphagnum moss that's in the permafrost. They freeze and collect salmon up there. Mind blown, right? You know what does that? Nothing. Well, I guess squirrels. They store food, but not salmon. And they know enough to take the salmon, put them up and freeze them in the permafrost. So yeah, that's storing of food. That's brilliant, amazing. So sun-dried salmon, tons of. I don't know about that. It sounds interesting. Did you find any traces of that man? I don't want to really talk about the search and rescue thing because their family's involved. And you got to be respectful to people. I found a dead body of a man. I found 2 dead bodies of people. It's brutal. It's horrifying to find a dead person. And I'll tell you, when I was up looking for that man in the wilderness, and you start finding things, you start seeing stuff, and you go, oh, there it could be over there. A native lady had told me that he was lying by a large tree that had fallen down. And I really respect what the native people, they sent me off with a drumming ritual. And they told me about all their feelings and impressions. They were so proud to have me there. And I was so honored that I couldn't even believe it. I got teary eyed again. It's so beautiful. They sent me off on a native ceremony. But anyways, what was I saying? So finding and dealing with the death of a human being out in the wilderness is really hard. So it's really brutal. Finding a human dead body out in the bush, it scarred my soul. So I tell you, I left there going, where the dead man froze. Well, you know what? As I was looking and as I was realizing in the train, I could see that the temperatures, it got warmer and the snow melted, and I could see tracks melting. But then when someone stepped, like animals even would step on the snow that was melted, the ice that formed froze up again, and it got so cold that the ice cracked. And that means it got temperatures below -20, and I could see cracks from different days. And that tells me that if that man was up there and he was still alive after all that time, he would have had to survive -20 nights without the proper gear. And when I'm up there walking around thinking I wouldn't have been able to survive up here with my proper gear, I wouldn't be able to have survived in this length of time. So, and then my heart started to tell me things, and I just had feelings. And yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. Search and rescue is a hard job, and yeah, it sucks. But really, please, people, take some kind of tracking device. We have the technology to do this stuff. I used the Spot. I didn't really like it very well, but there's way better stuff now. This was like, I don't know, 8 years ago. For God's sake, take some device. And anyways, would you be able to tranquilize a Bigfoot? I have a video on my page called "Kill or Not to Kill a Bigfoot." Go look at that. Talks about all the potentials of shooting or tranquilizing a Bigfoot. It's all explained there in great detail. You always teach me something. Thanks for that one, Todd. Al Bundy, Dallas, Texas. Al Bundy. I love that Married with Children show. That was great. So thank you for that, Jennifer. Well, it's cool. You know what is amazing is for the search and rescue, all the natives that guided me and told me where to go and what to do and the stuff they told me, they all knew Sasquatch was real, and they all had all these cool Sasquatch experiences. So I'm going back there into May. Wonderful people. They have it's hard to pronounce their name, and I haven't memorized it yet, but they're the Merritt indigenous people, and amazing people. I really have a good connectivity to them. A couple of them are my friends on Facebook now, and I just have to send them stuff. Man, I'm so behind. I'm so sorry with anybody that I'm behind with. I'm really reeling here. So anyways, I'll catch up soon enough. But and I appreciate your patience. When I come back, I'm gonna kick some ass. So I just need to get that bullet out, because the bullet's still in the wound right now, is the way I can explain it, right? So do they have any natural enemies? Hell no. Hell no. Take people on an expedition. We'll see their bears and wolves and mountain lions all over the place. When we get to Sasquatch habitat, those big predators become an extreme rarity, because it's Sasquatch territory. The Sasquatch are the apex dominating species, infinitely so, infinitely so. So I've talked about it many times, and I'm just telling you, like, they have no natural nothing. You don't mess with the Sasquatch, boy. They're twice as powerful as a gorilla, and more importantly than that, um, what am I trying to say here? They have like back in the day when I was studying jujitsu, even before the UFC, people thought it was magic the way I'd put someone in a triangle on an armbar or a kimura. It's grappling skills. It seems to me very clear that the Sasquatch know how to deal with individual species. They know how to handle a bear. They know where the sharp end is and how to maneuver them. So you're not just an incredibly powerful primate species, but and agile, and but it's the intelligence, it's the ability to have bear jujitsu, I would call it. Does that make sense? Where you know how to grapple and move and handle that animal. And that's just become very clear to me that they just, you know, again, I talked about it in another video where a small Sasquatch handled a large adult male grizzly bear like it was nothing. He didn't even ask for help. It was like a joke. You know, I'm like that with dogs, big dogs. I've been raised around dogs, and I have a Rottie, and one on one, a dog is not. Even wolves don't really scare me much, mostly because they wolves don't harm people unless you do something stupid. Who did you study with? I have many teachers. My teacher, who was a Cree elder, but he was admired all the way down from like up in the north of Alberta, all the way down into the United States to the Kootenai Indians. He would go there. He was revered and really highly respected. Was and people called him two bears or running bears or Musquaw in his Cree language. So just a wonderful teacher. But I have many teachers. Survivor Man's my teacher. Jeff Meldrum's my teacher. John Benellinger's my teacher. Do I have to keep going? These, and even expeditioners are my teachers. I might be out there guiding and leading them, and I teach them a lot. But I'd be a fool not to learn from them. And I tell you, every day on expeditions, people teach me things. So I had a construction a man from Florida, wonderful man from Florida, and his wife come out with me, and yeah, he has a construction company. He taught me about how the tree breaks are so significant. You can't break wood like that. Like, he's been handling wood his whole life, and this man who doesn't know much about, well, he loves the wilderness and he has a passion for it, but it's his knowledge of wood that really helped me understand this year that how significant those tree breaks are. You can't do that. You can't fake that. I couldn't make tree breaks. I don't know how. I need a special machine. So is there ever a trip we can go on with you and Les Stroud? Yeah, I want to go on a trip again with Les Stroud. But yeah, we'll see what the future holds, right? I just keep moving forward, try to be real positive, and yeah. So I mean, who taught you jujitsu? Who taught me jujitsu? It was the GA Jiu-Jitsu that I studied. I studied different kinds of martial arts, but a student of Michael DiPasquale, senior and junior, was a teacher of mine with GA Jiu-Jitsu, and I learned some judo, grappling, and then I at Panthers Gym in Edmonton. Daryl Duke was a kickboxing instructor of mine with Ken Lacusta, who was a Canadian championship boxer. So I have many mentors, many teachers with that. But I'm not. Anyways, I'm a self-defense guy. I'm a man of peace at all times. Could dogs be trained to track them? Hell no. No way. Wolves don't mess with Sasquatch. Dogs, that would just be so dangerous. You just don't realize. I love animals. I have so much respect for deer and the fox that get hunted and killed, bears that get hunted and killed. You're not dealing with those animals are amazing and do incredible things. They're very intelligent. I really respect them. But come on, a Sasquatch, you're dealing with intelligence, you're dealing with trackers, you're dealing with a thinking being that's at such a level. They know you're coming. They knew you were, they saw you drive up. They were prepared preemptively, like they can think preemptively, you know? You can't, they're going to see dogs and go over the mountain. Catch me now, bitch. Right? They're the most incredible climbers, like a mountain goat can't go where they go. You know? It's just not going to happen. I'm a man. I'm a tracker. I'm telling you, there are days where I've seen Sasquatch tracks in the snow. I put in my backpack. I say, I'm going to hell and back. I'm never going to lose this trackway. And they always beat me. They always outsmart me 50 different ways because they know there are tracks being left behind. They know exactly how to get out of it. You're not going to track down a Sasquatch. No man, no dog, no being that's known alive is ever going to hunt that species. They're brilliant and amazing. And, yeah, I have such a respect for them. They're my teachers. They're literally multiple levels above me. They were levels above the greatest tracker I've ever met in my life, which was my teacher. So, how many expeditions have I been on roughly? Well, I'll tell you this, Kyla. I've spent thousands of days alone in the backcountry. So, and are you even saying expeditions alone or expeditions with people? People expeditions I've taken out, it's thousands of people now, maybe around 50 even that I've taken out into the field with me. So, but expeditions on my own, it's so much. I've literally spent thousands of days alone in the backcountry. Even before I knew Sasquatch existed, I was still building a foundation about berries and animals and studying badgers and wolverines and wolves and deers. I just love nature so much. Thanks, brother, for sending me the email. Random Hero. That's a cool name. Jim, in an area that you believe Sasquatch to live in, do you find predators in those areas as well? Do they stay away? I find that predators are significantly less in Sasquatch habitat. Significantly less. I gosh, I've seen tracks of bears coming into Sasquatch habitat, and I see them do their standard leg up, get the hell out. Like, bye. What just scared that? Like a monster, omnipotent grizzly bear. I can see in his tracks. He's not afraid of nothing. This is a beast. This is Bear 22, right? Not afraid of nothing. Walks into Sasquatch habitat, picks up the scent, and books it out of there. What is he afraid of that's in the deep, dark depths of the wilderness? There's no men there. What is that bear afraid of? I know what he's afraid of. It's not another bear. That's the only thing a big bear like that would be afraid of. And this bear knows. Even, you know what big monster bears know? Big monster bears know they don't want to fight each other. They're just going to injure each other. Unless it's mating season, they stay away from each other. Why would these big monster bears, even these huge mountain lions, 220-pound mountain lions, come into Sasquatch habitat? And I could just see in their tracks, they're booking it like they're fearful. They're terrified of what's in those woods. And Sasquatch teach those animals, you better be afraid of us because we are by far the dominant apex species ever known. Um, so yeah, I've really noticed that. Uh, really noticed that significantly. So even it would be something that I would use to deduce that is Sasquatch habitat. Going up to areas like north of Vancouver, around Squamish and Whistler, where there's tremendous bear populations, and going into an area where suddenly there's no more bear tracks, no more mountain lion tracks, and for a significant distance, and then I start seeing Sasquatch signs, right? So these things just are adding up, and yeah, so there's real signs of them. Why do they build structures in trees? Why do they build structures in trees? Does anyone know? Well, they build structures out of trees. So, and you know what? They smell you. Yeah, Nate. They can smell really well. They have excellent sensory perception. Olfactory sensory perception is significantly better than human beings. I wouldn't know at what level precisely, but literally, I'm a guy who doesn't give off a lot of. I eat very clean and drink lots of water. It's very hard to ever smell me. I know a dog could, but as a human being, I don't give off a lot of odor. And I touched a tree once, and they smelled that. Maybe 6 hours I touched a tree, they could pick up the scent of my hand. No human being could have done that. So they have, yeah, just off the top of their head, probably at least 5 times better olfactory sensory perception than we knew. Acknowledge you know they are there and ask them to leave might get them to go. Acknowledge you know they are there and ask them to leave. That might get them to go. No, no, they're the boss. They Sasquatch are arrogant. They damn well better be. They know. Why wouldn't you be arrogant? You think that a PhD doctor like Jeff Meldrum isn't going to go into a kindergarten classroom and know that he's going to have a lot to teach them and maybe not so much to learn from them. Does that make sense? When it comes to scholastic. And that's literally the level when I go out there, as much as I know, at best I'm in grade 2 and they're at the university professor level. So born and raised in the wilderness, taught how to survive there with thousands of generations. The native people called them. The native people were no trackers, like no white man ever could be, that lived in equilibrium in the forest, like no white people ever have, called them the masters of the wilderness. Right? Those were their teachers, and those people, normal people are here. Great trackers are here. Let's say I'm at this level. The old native trackers, Geronimo and my teacher at this level, and up where you can't see my hand is where the Sasquatch are. So they better, you know what you know, and yeah, they know. So that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say about that. What are we into for this for time? So I got another 10 minutes. Let's have some great questions here. Todd, researching whitetail in North Bigfoot. I grew up 3 miles from a sighting, had my own experiences 3 times. That is such a great way to start, isn't it? Whitetail bucks, man. That's the top sought after prey in our continent are whitetail bucks. Study them, learn from them. They're brilliant beings, very intelligent. And this is something I did so many times. I used to do this with hunters, and I go, okay, so whitetail bucks. Imagine a whitetail buck was taught, not learned by experience, was taught. Imagine a whitetail buck never had a rut, because primates don't have a rut. They're tremendously um, they have a tremendous disadvantage. Most whitetail bucks, the big trophy ones, are killed during the rut because they're running around to find their does and breed. So that's when most of them are killed, and that's hunting season. Imagine there was no rut. Imagine they had no tolerance for human habitation. Imagine they lived together in groups and stood together. And I tell a hunter these 4 things, and they'll tell you a whitetail buck that had those advantages, which are all those advantages a Sasquatch enjoy and more, you would never see it. They actually call phantom bucks that have no sexual desires because their testicles are broken off or caught off or something. One phantom buck had his testicles caught and set of barbed wire and lived to be a right old age. Somebody found his body and couldn't ever kill him because he didn't care about sex, but he still didn't stand together in a group. He still didn't have no tolerance in habitation. He was cornfield, and dead. And the phantom buck never got killed. And this is in the United States. That's a whitetail buck that's living. They couldn't get him. That's how amazing whitetail bucks are. They're incredible, amazing creatures. And you give when I tell a hunter, a whitetail buck hunter, all those things, he goes, yeah, maybe they can exist. And they do. So, because whitetail buck hunters are amazing, really amazing, very impressive. Most of them. And you know what? They have every right to hunt. I agree with whitetail buck hunters. I agree even with, I'm sorry, but I agree with trophy hunters. Some people are born with that desire to hunt. I've met these people, and you know what? These people love animals, and their money pays for research. How can you argue that? People that are bitching about these trophy hunters and stuff, they don't understand that call to the wild, that desire that these people have. Maybe some of them don't, but anyways, I respect hunters. I'm not a trophy hunter. I'd like to hunt for meat. I haven't been able to do that yet, but I'm not going to disrespect somebody else. We're hunter gatherers. That's what our species is. How could you shun someone for being a hunter? So, I mean, there's exceptions. You shouldn't be hunting white rhinos and stuff. And let's not be ridiculous. If if you're going to damage a species, it's inappropriate to hunt. But if you really understand animals and understand a species, trophy hunting is. I saw a guy who killed this incredible, huge monster of a bear. Showed me pictures of it, and that bear was done. His life was over. He's this big monster. His time is done, and it was okay for him to be harvested. He was ready to be removed from that ecosystem. So, how big would a single family Sasquatch territory be? Well, that's going to be based on good question. That's going to be based on the amount of food that's there to survive. And it's going to be different from one place to another. There's tremendously more abundance around the coast, like in British Columbia and Washington, than there is over in Montana and Alberta. Tremendously more abundance. More berries, warmer temperatures, salmon spawning, which is enormous, multiple breeds of salmon spawning up in multiple times a year. There's just so much more rich habitat. They're going to be much closer in Washington and British Columbia and Oregon along the coast, and much more spread out as you move into the more difficult climates to survive. We better hope the Bigfoot don't eat the zombie deers. They want to look out for zombie Bigfoot. Yes, zombies are very popular. I've been asked to do a zombie Bigfoot movie. Nope, not going to happen. Old bears are monsters. They ravage for no benefit. Do they cook? No, they don't use fire. Sasquatch don't use any kind of technology. Hey, Brittany, thanks for the live chat. How much better is Bigfoot's version of hearing than humans? Boy, that's a good question. How much? Thank you very much for your donation, Brittany. Again, patreon.com. You can actually get product from me and whatnot. But thank you very much for the donation. How much better is their hearing? I absolutely do not know the answer to that question. I don't know. I've never, how could I have tested that? I've never seen any way to test that. I think if somebody has an idea, how could they test to see how much better their hearing is than ours? Their scent, smell, I can. I'm not even sure. I'm sure they see extremely well in the dark. I've seen their eyes light up. So they see well at dark, but how far do they see? I don't know. How well can they see? I don't know. They do not use tools. Absolutely not. Al Bundy from Dallas, Texas. No tools at all. In fact, I remember I put an axe, I dropped an axe on a trail they used, and they started walking way around that axe. They just fear technology. They have no use for tools. Why would they? So, actually, no, that's not true. There's exceptions to that, of course. I believe they were spearing salmon they were giving to me, and I believe I saw a stick that they'd sharpened and they were spearing it. But they just left it there. Am I frightened of them? Darling, Darlene Evans asked, am I frightened of them? Mostly. Yes, I find they're it's like going on it's like skydiving, You're terrified and you love it, I guess. But they like to push me around, they like to dominate me, and it does scare me. It always scares me. But I just admire them so much, and yeah, that's they do scare me, and yeah, I enjoy them and I admire them so much. So Blaze and Silver, the gorillas, they are many sightings in northern Ontario, very dense forest areas. Okay, I don't know what that one. All the best to you. All the better. That sounds like you're friends with Dogman. And I don't know anything about Dogman. Ever ever had a rock left on your vehicle? I don't think so, but I had a pine cone this year left on they stacked up some rocks, left me some berries. I ate the berries. I left them a gift. I can't remember if they took that gift or not. There's evidence because rock stack was only like 2 feet high, but they left me a little pine cone that was very oddly shaped, and I have that, and I know a Sasquatch left that for me, and I'm very it's very precious to me. Are there Sasquatch in northern Ontario? Most likely. Sasquatch sense energy. Yes. I kind of have the same thing with my big Bose. She's hugs, freaks me out, but I can't get enough. Now it's Bigfoot. Do you have any more good videos or photos of Sasquatch we haven't seen? Do I have any more good videos and photos of Sasquatch that you haven't seen? The California stuff is decent. It's all right. It's okay. The story about what happened in California and the Sasquatch there when I was out working with Claudia Ackley is very cool, very impressive. The incident that transpired there, but and there's more stuff, but I paid a lot of money for that expedition, and I was funded somewhat by Warner Brothers to do that expedition. So being honest and true and good, that will come out. I paid for it, and they paid for it, so they have rights to it. And there's no contract or anything. They just gave me money to go to California and do that. So yeah, we're working on getting that out there. But the best footage I have is already out there. It's not better than anything I've ever done, that's for sure. In fact, I'd consider it just mediocre footage. This of what happened was really cool. I was only out in California for a week, and half that time I was with Claudia. So okay, we're gonna finish this up. So it says Bigfoot age of sexual maturity. I just really compare that to human beings. I think I talked about that in one of these shows already. It's very, very close to human beings. What's the connection between Bigfoot and stone structures? I don't really know. My first stone structure, 100%. Oh, my second one was in Nordegg this year. My first one was in Radium. Um, yeah, I have so much to learn about. I'm in my infancy when it comes to Sasquatch structures. They're amazing when you really look at how they're put together. It's very impressive. So, is your best footage on YouTube? Yeah, some of my best footage is on YouTube. Absolutely. I mean, if you have Netflix, you can go see my documentary, and people see putting it online. So whatever. It's the best of everything I've ever done is in my documentary for sure. Excuse me. Do I think Bigfoot know how destructive humans can be? I don't want to swear, but beep, yeah. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine logging, how horrible that looks? Building of roads, spraying roads, strip mining. Yeah, they know. It's great. They know. Oh my gosh, they know. They're terrified. They think we're insane. They're probably, I mostly agree with them. Thanks for what you do. You're very welcome, Jennifer. Shell. Yes, Todd, my Cree shaman teacher is an elder counselor here in Alexander. Wondering if your teachers would know each other. Well, Muskwa was the real, like the Nova Star, the actual name of my teacher, like his birth name is just something that I keep very secret. I only tell it to very close people. But send me an email, northbigfoot@gmail.com, and we can talk. If you have a teacher, a Cree teacher, I Cree ways, I'm very in love with them. And yeah, what other countries Bigfoot are? Can you name them, please? Thank you. Well, I'm quite convinced that they're in China, the Yeti. I'm quite convinced the Yowie are in Australia. Never been there, but I'm quite convinced of it. And not down into Mexico. They have the Alush in Mexico, which is something different than a Sasquatch. But so Canada, United States, Australia, China, Russia. Russia has brown bears and wolves. So yeah, they'd very likely be in Russia, and that's the Yeren. So, but then I've seen stuff. I've talked to people in South Africa that they have a wild man out there, and John Bitternagel had a paper that he did on that, or he was involved in with the Sasquatch in Africa. So, gonna watch your documentary again, Todd. The night vision shot showing the back of a large Sasquatch was intense. I even felt it as I watched it. Me too. I watched that and I get really. Oh, that's Sean of the '80s. I follow you on Instagram, brother. I like the '80s. I was a little boy in the '80s growing up. So yeah, Sean of the '80s. Yeah, it is intense, isn't it? Yeah, I watched that documentary. I still get scared. I still have the feelings. People have no idea how terrifying that was. I was terrified. Oh, all I can do, like when I'm out on expedition with people, we always have a mandate. We have a thing that when all else fails, do this, right? Because when the emergency happens, you must do this one thing because it's hard. Thank you so much. Have you heard the Sasquatch Ontario audio? I'll talk about that in a second. Yes, I've heard it, I think. Thank you very much for your donation. What was I saying now? But anyways, my mandate is keep moving forward. Walt Disney talked about that. It's something about stuff that was groundbreaking, and there was no answer to it. And they just, when you do something brand new, you just got to keep moving forward. That's part of the discovery process, whether it's in filmmaking or the discovery of this species. So I know the Sasquatch and radium are not going to harm me. I'm very convinced of that, and I just keep moving forward. So that's what I was doing. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, but that's the one thing I keep punching in my brain as I'm moving around. When the emergency happens, when everything goes crazy, when the infrasound's out there, what do? And my answer is I keep moving forward towards the Sasquatch because I know they're not going to harm me in radium. And I feel that way mostly about the Sasquatch in Ontario now. Or not, sorry, I'm looking at Ontario Sasquatch. I feel that way about the Sasquatch in the Nordegg Research Center for the most part. So yeah, we've been an hour and a half now. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda, you go to bed. She's from England, man. It's like 4 in the morning there. Amanda, you crazy. What an awesome help you've been. I'm so grateful for you. Um, uh, have I touched one? They've touched me. I'd be afraid to touch one, I think. Never reached out and touched a Sasquatch. No, I wouldn't even be brave enough to do that. That's like primate. Man, you don't touch a gorilla. I don't think so. Or I know Diane Fossey did, but it's crazy. I'm not in that Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall corner yet. I'm not that far along. I haven't had their kind of success yet. So what if you pass them off? What if you piss them off, I think is what he's saying, or go near their young? Yeah, don't do that. Don't upset them, for God's sake. When you're dealing with the reality of the species, you realize how big and strong and powerful and amazing they are. You're an idiot if you're going to mess with them. If you have that intent, you're going to fail. They're going to know it. They're going to see it. They're going to test your mettle. You can't do this without being good and honest and true. I don't think it happens. Don't take these guys on. You don't reverse nature. You don't verse nature. You live within nature. You try to survive within nature. You are part of nature and you coexist within it. You don't verse it. That's the problem with that show. It's fake. It's fraudulent. That's the difference between Survivor Man and Man versus Wild. Is the connectivity, the love, the passion of it. Don't verse the Sasquatch. Go let them teach you. They have so much to teach you. Have so much to learn from them. That's why I'm so passionate about this discovery, is because it will change the world. I am nobody special. There's nothing special about me. Anybody could do what I've done. I just worked hard and cooperated, and I've been devoted to something. Nothing special about me, but the Sasquatch are special. And facilitating the discovery of the Sasquatch to the world is such a miracle. I believe it'll make changes that are enormously good, will change and make the world a better place. And that's why I do this discovery. That's why I fight for it. I love this beautiful planet. I love nature. And Sasquatch are the epitome of nature. They love nature. They survive within it. They're the apex species in nature. And I think that they are the most man-like primate in the world, and they can bring us back to nature. And in nature is the survival of this planet. Within nature, nature can teach us how to save this planet and survive, and keep it beautiful and wonderful. So, Alabama Sasquatch research to that's it for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. You guys are awesome. Are females more timid? Absolutely. Boys are boys and girls are girls. I have girl dogs that are not like the boys. My boys are outgoing and playful. So yeah, absolutely. Messing with Sasquatch is hilarious. Thank you so much, everybody. Um, I'm looking so forward to next week. No matter, gosh, I love these conversations. I think you guys are amazing. And yeah, tell your friends about it. I'd like to hear more questions and stuff. And I'll get my ducks in a row and the website fixed up and everything. It's just going to take some time. So be patient with me, please. I am just me. This is my house. This is who I am. So uh, I'm just a regular, everyday, middle class guy at this point, lower middle class, just trying to make my way in the world. And thank you very much for your help and your support. And tell people, get them to watch that movie. And y'all take care. And I look forward to coming back next week. Stay tuned for the Saturday video. I don't even know what's going to be on it yet. I got to go figure that out next. So watch for the Saturday video. It'll be great, I'm sure. We always do good work. And thank you very much again. You all take care, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one.